Okay, we are starting off where we left off here with the last video. We're going to go ahead and replace the spindle on this merger. We had a spindle on hand that we've had for a couple of years. However, we didn't have bearings. I think I have a seal. I have a seal. I'm not sure if it's the correct one or not. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing going, and then we're going to get into a little discussion on the chopper that you've seen in the last thumbnail, the last video, and the thumbnail of this one. So let's get this going here, and once I get chopping, we'll do some explaining on the current thumbnail in this video and the last one. I haven't got much battery on this camera. I didn't go ahead and slap a new battery into it, so I might have a clip or two from my phone, and you might notice a little glitch in the video here, but I'll show you what we've got. We have broke these knees off before down here, and we've also broke these spindles off. Andrew was running this merger, and he swung out from that windrow there, came across. Well, we'll kind of walk you through his tire track here. He would have come across right there. He would have come down through here. No, did he come? Yeah, I'm assuming he went that way because of the way the track is. No, he came off of here, come down in through here like this. He said he hit this ditch, but I don't believe he hit this ditch, because the tire broke off right there, right in behind the truck. Broke there, and then he dragged it to here. So it looks like he dragged it maybe, oh, what's that, a big 25 feet? So he said he hit that ditch, but it might have been from the other one hitting it, and it jarred it enough. But there's really not a lot of weight on these until you get everything lifted up. So we don't have a jack with us. I think what I can do is just put that wing down or lift that side up, and it'll cock it enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hub out of the wheel, remove the dust cap, get the old spindle out, and then slap the new one in. And I'm running about out of battery here, so I'm just going to get all the work done, and we'll show you what things look like when it goes back together. So we have the bolt removed that holds that spindle in. Here's the new spindle right here. So I had to clean some surface rust off of it, but that is the new spindle. And this is a blind hole that this spindle is in. So I'm glad that this is not going to be that big of a job, because I don't have enough battery here and we can't get into a big drama. So this is going to pull right out of there. I thought I was going to have to weld something on here and get all creative with log chains and hammers and all that stuff. So we don't have to, or we're not going to need to present a lot of drama here. So I've got that one out. We'll just kind of explain quick. We'll put some anti-seize on that one, shove it back in, and then everything else is just going to go together. Won't even have to video it because there's not going to be much to show. All easy stuff here. So we'll show you what things look like once they're all back together. Alright, we did get lucky here, and this spindle broke right just this side of the bearing. Sometimes when that happens, it ends up breaking the side off of the hub where the seal sits. We got lucky. That didn't happen. However, if it did happen, I don't have a hub. We would just have to run it and then swap it out at a later date. So we'll clean this, get this old spindle out, clean up some of this dirt here first, leave the grease that's in there, and smack everything all back together. All right, we've got our spindle in place. We've got our hub ready to go on. That seal that I had is the right one. So we've got our inner bearing in there, the seal pounded into place. So this job is just about done. And if you listen really good, I'm gonna try to be real quiet. Hopefully the birds stop chirping here. You can hear a John Deere 9600 off in the background. Yeah, maybe things are muffled a little bit. But we better get this together. Alright, just like that, we got the wheel back on. I moved the merger because I didn't bring a jack over here with me, and I was going to try to drag it up to this little ditch here. But I started to see that the axle was starting to drop a little bit here. I got the weight off of this side, and I figured I'm going to clean all the studs off and probably lose the dust cap if I drag it in the dirt. So we dropped the wind out of the tire. Now we're just installing some new wind in there, and Nate's gonna be able to get going. Right? Looks like rain though. He said he got a couple of raindrops on his way. It's coming in from the west. Sky is black. So, we're gonna get after it here. Okay, so we are just getting going. We had a brief shower, roll through here a brief moment ago. I thought it was going to set in and rain real hard. I hadn't sharpened the knives yet. I don't do that until first thing in the morning. I blow the chopper off at night, sharpen knives in the morning, chopper's clean, then I can sit with it and make sure we don't have any smoldering hay dust or anything. Now we have a few things that need explained in this video. The first thing I need to explain is I need to be recognized a little more or a little better with YouTube here. There's some functions that they haven't given me yet because I don't have enough viewers. Apparently I'm not making them enough money. They do put ads in on my videos and they get like 45% of the revenue from those ads, and they get 45% of the super chats, and they just recently gave me super thanks. Right in the, just underneath the heading of the video, you can go over and you can donate to YouTube, and I get a small portion of that as well. Right in the super thanks, it kind of works like a super chat. Another reason why I need to be recognized a little more with YouTube, I need to receive some of the other functions on this camera that you get through the higher viewership with YouTube. And one of them features is the finger snap function. Now, there's several different reasons why the guys that you see do the finger snap thing, and then it goes right to the next function, or the next part of the video, is, I'll give you a couple examples. One, they either get a phone call, and right while they're filming, and they snap their fingers, they go to the phone call, and then bang, they're into the next step of the video. Another reason why they might use the finger snap function is they just don't have time to video right at the moment. They don't want to show you that step that goes in between the one frame and the next frame, so they snap their fingers, bang, the job is done. Maybe a third example might be your battery is going low on your camera and you need to, you know, swap out a battery, or you just weren't prepared, and I would have been able to use that finger snap function while I was working on the merger. So once YouTube recognizes that I'm a little more important than I am, maybe I'll receive that function. Another thing that we need to explain is, in the last video, I had a picture of a burnt chopper. And then in this video, or a chopper on fire, I had a picture of the remnants of what was left from that fire. Now, the reason why I even wanted to talk about this was for several different reasons. One, for the mouthpieces that there are on social media. The brand bashers, the holier-than-thou idiots that just want to run their mouth. Until you've gone through a situation like this, or if you even have a piece of machinery like this, until you've gone through it, or are mature enough to know how bad something like that is, you wouldn't run your fat trap. And another reason why I wanted to bring this up, the fire department that put out the fire got some flack for putting the pictures on social media, and some of the mouthpieces said, you know, what good are you guys? You didn't save it. There's no saving one of these machines once they go up in smoke. Now that chopper that you've seen in the pictures here, that was my Uncle John's chopper. And we're going to briefly describe what happened to that, just to kind of set the record straight, to just squaring off with the different mouthpieces, whether they're local or a keyboard idiot in some distant far land. They were chopping, my cousin was chopping actually. It was a week ago, well, it was 5 days ago now. It was Thursday or Friday of last week. They were chopping first cut. The hay wasn't actually as dry as what I was chopping yesterday, and the wind was blowing real bad. They had to chop most of the hay going one way because the hay kept blowing back on the chopper. They were fighting the chopper all day with dry hay getting blown onto the exhaust manifold. Now you might say, Andy, you just said it wasn't dry. Well, you get the top of the windrow, you get the sides of the windrow, and you get pieces of the grasses that are going to be dry. They're going to be like kindling wood dry. And it is something that will catch on fire. You get it on an exhaust manifold, and it's going to smolder. They had blown the chopper off several times throughout the day. They had just actually blown the chopper off extensively 2 windrows before the chopper went up in smoke. Now, some of you had said, or some of the mouthpieces, I'm not even going to say what they had said, but it's just stupid to say that kind of stuff. We have had several close calls throughout the years chopping, and anybody running a piece of machinery, whether it's a skid steer, a tractor, a payload, liable to catch on fire. We're harvesting an extremely dry crop. Maybe not so much with the chopper, but you get dry leaves from the corn plant blowing back in, setting on top of hot bearings, even if the bearing is not gone, and there's enough friction there that can cause a fire. And we all have good nose on us. We can smell this. We try to sense that. We have all kinds of measures put into place to prevent these fires, but sometimes the stuff just gets away from you, and it can happen really fast. Now, what that was there is a trip of the stone detector. Now, sometimes I can feel that stone go in. Other times it could be just a wad of hay that I've got the stone detection set. The sensitivity is a little too sensitive, but we were chopping new seed and I want to be overly sensitive on that. I turn it off when we're chopping corn, for example. So we're dealing with you know, some dangerous stuff here. Last year I had put a set of knives in this chopper, and they tell you need to start with a sharp set of knives. You need to set your shear bar up to 3 times a day. You need to sharpen halfway through the day. I hate sharpening the knives halfway through the day. Doesn't matter if you're chopping 65% crop, you're going to have some dry crop around your knife drum. You're going to have just dry chaff that can catch on fire. I put a set of knives in. I was chopping some green haylage. I wanted to go ahead and adjust the knives a little bit. So I wanted to run the sharpening stone across the knives. I just was going to make 10 sweeps across the knives. And I did that, and maybe a load or two later, we smelled some stuff burning. Poked it out. It was burning around the feed rolls. It was just smoldering. It really wasn't anything serious. We poked it out, got it put out. Another half hour later, we could smell it again. Did the same thing, right in the same spot, poked it all out, got it put out, we're good. So at the time we had our fertilizer truck, we've got a 3,000 gallon tank on it, and an 800, 700, 600, 800 gallon tank on there. We had it filled with water, and we were using that to wet down the windrows to alleviate or help this dry hay problem. So we chopped another hour and a half, so I guess we were just about done, and we had called for the water trucks that we better get it put into place in case we need it for dry hay and in the event that we run into having a fire. Well, we were done with this one particular farm. We were actually on the farm that I took the pictures of the 2 white tractors here last week. So we were just about getting done, and Jared was on his way with the water truck. And I said, we don't need it down here. Put it up in up to the next farm, which is actually the farm I'm on right now. Get it up there, get it on location. So he said, all right, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. But right then, right while I was on the phone, I get a fault code on the chopper, and the chopper stops. It can't move. Oh, all right. So I shut the chopper off, started it back up. We did have a sending unit that was kind of touchy on one of the ProDrive filters. So I shut down, started back up. I was loading my nephew, and all right, started moving again. I went, finished the windrow. We were on the last windrow. Finished the windrow, turned the chopper around. He said, I can smell, I can smell fire. I said, yeah, it's, remnants of what we had going on prior here. So I went a little farther. The next thing you know, the the chopper quit moving again. So I said, we got to look into this. So what I was going to do is I wanted to take the head off and get into feed roll area. And I shut the chopper off. We took the head off. I backed the chopper up. Went to move it forward. Code comes up. Doesn't let me move again. So we see that the chopper was burning in the same spot. We took that out. Opened up the knife drum area. And then we could smell more. We could see more stuff. More smoke going on. Right in on top of the front axle of the chopper. And what it had done was it had spit a spark back into an area on top of the axle where a bunch of chaff had been sitting. And it had that burning. And what it did is it burned the wires off of a couple of sending units that was in on top of the pro drive part of the front drive axle. So had we not had that water truck, Jared ended up bringing that to the field, and we put a lot of water on it and got it out because we had to come up underneath it and blast it with water, get it put out, and we took the panels off and seen what we had going on. And just in behind the axle is the plastic fuel tank. And that's another problem with this equipment now, is everybody's trying to carry more and more fuel. Well, back in the day on a piece of equipment, they would put a metal rectangular fuel tank and they would strap it any place they could on the machine. They were limited to area in which they could put that fuel tank, and you were limited to the amount of fuel that you could carry. So then they started making tanks out of plastic, and what they could do is they could mold that plastic to an easier shape, or more of a strange shape to get around stuff, to fill in the voids of the areas on the machine to gain more fuel storage. And with the plastic fuel tanks, it doesn't take much to start that fuel on fire. Once the tank burns through and the fuel tank starts on fire, you're done. Then you've got hydraulic oil that is sometimes stored in plastic tanks on a machine as well. When we had a tractor burn a couple of years ago, that's what happened. Just as soon as the fire department got there and they started throwing water on it, they had pushed the fire down, and then when the fire couldn't burn only on the lower parts of the tractor, it got into the fuel tank. Now, we'll talk about equipment for a little bit of a minute here. So that's the problem there with some of this equipment. And you know, we were able to get our fire put out. We got lucky, and a couple of years ago on the 7780 chopper that we had, we were dealing with hay that was dry enough to bale, but it was gonna rain. And that's another thing. You know, everybody says, well, you could wait till after the rain. You don't know how much rain you're gonna get. You want to get done, you're thinking that it's just this one field, we get moved to the next one, the hay's gonna be a different quality, we'll move out of this one crop and we'll get into the other one and we'll be all right. On the 7780, this must have been 5-6 years ago, the hay that we were chopping was too dry, and it had thrown a spark off of like a stone or something, come through the chopper, and it started some dry hay on fire. Now right in around the knife drum bearing, or the blower, and in around the blower bearing, and that had burned quite a while. And what had happened was it ended up burning all of the grease lines off of the right hand side of the chopper. And in the video prior to this one, the guys were putting water on the windrow with that 300-gallon tank and trash pump that's on that fuel trailer, and they had a hard suction line, and they were able to draft water out of the pond that's on this farm. And the guys did the same thing that day when the 7780 caught on fire. We were over on the Cardwell farm in Hard's Corners, and there's a good-sized creek that runs through that farm, and they were able to gallons of water will go a long ways on a machine fire, but we had already spent quite a bit of that water on wetting hay down, and if we had to send that truck home to fill with a garden hose, the chopper would have went up in smoke. Another time we were cutting hay, and it was hay that we were going to bale, and we were cutting it with a disc vine, and no, it wasn't baling hay. Well, we have had windrows of hay catch on fire from the bottom skid plate of the mower hit the stone, and we have caught real dry hay that was baling hay on fire before that way. Another time we had the same similar situation with a new seeding piece that had it was either wheat or oats. We had bought the crop from a neighboring farm, and there was straw baled the year before, and there was some straw that the baler didn't get picked up, and it was kind of laying down in between the stubble. It was real dry. The merger, I was actually merging myself then. This was probably 10, 12 years ago, and the merger skid plate rubbed the stone, and it caught that stuff on fire that was down laying in amongst the stubble, and it had a pretty good area burning. We were able to put it out rather easy. We just drove over the top of it, and that kind of put that fire out. Now, getting back to the fire department situation, yeah, you know, when a machine catches on fire like that, you're almost better off just to let the damn thing burn, because there's nothing left to it by then. It's usually a complete write-off at that point. However, if there was a windrow close enough to that chopper, it could have caught the windrow on fire. The embers from the chopper could have blown on a neighboring house, a neighboring barn. I don't know what the lay of the land was like there, so the fire department has to come, put it out, make sure nothing else starts on fire, and they have to make an attempt to do so. A lot of times they are using equipment that is, you know, a couple $1 million worth of equipment shows up to a fire like that, and, you know, the house or the machine wasn't even worth that much. Now, that chopper that my uncle had was the same. I don't know if I talked about that or not. That chopper that he had was the same as this one. It was a John Deere 8700. It was a year older than this. We actually rented that chopper back when we had our 7780. I think I've got some video of that chopping corn. But we were chopping corn one year with a 7780, and the hydraulic oil cooler started leaking oil. It wasn't leaking oil all that bad, and there wasn't an oil cooler in the States. So we had sent the machine over to O'Hara Machinery, and they were going to put a new oil cooler, or maybe we did it. I can't remember now. Now they put the oil cooler in. It was going to be a couple of weeks before they got an oil cooler, and they let us rent a, I don't even know if they charged us. They might not have charged us, I don't know now. But at any rate, they let us use a 7750 that it was actually one of my uncle's choppers that he had traded in on a 7780 that he had at the time as well. And now, you know, we're using that chopper. We had about 2 days worth of chopping left to do, and that oil cooler ended up springing an oil leak as well. So here we are, we've got a 7750 and a 7780 chopper, and we need oil coolers for both, and there's not an oil cooler in the States. And we had the two machines that needed them. So we had a couple of days worth of chopping to finish up. They brought us over that 8700 that my uncle had, and that was a demo machine that all they had to do was put a kernel star processor back in it. One of the other farms that they service had a kernel star processor or something. They robbed the pulley off of this one, so they were half a day getting the pulley back on the processor, getting it to us, and then we chopped with it for a day or two. And it gave us an opportunity to experience the 8000 series chopper. We weren't ready at the time to trade choppers. The following year is when we ordered this one here, and yeah, following year. That's how that worked. Yeah, the following year we ordered this one on like August 31st. It was I think it was the last day that you could order a chopper, and we ended up buying it from Kaz Equipment, and we got this in like March or April of 2018. So that'll give you the rundown on the clickbait, if you will. But I just wanted to get that out there because I know some people have seen the pictures online and whatever like that. We're not, well, we're obviously not poking fun at any thing like that. It's a pretty serious thing, and I've known several machines go up in smoke, and it has nothing to do with what brand chopper or machine burns. It just does not matter what brand it is. I will tell you something though. There are more John Deere choppers that have burned than any other brand. And there's only one reason why that is. That is because there's more John Deere choppers made than any other brand. If you don't believe me, go to Tractor House and see how many used choppers there are for sale. You might say, well, they're all for sale because they're junk and nobody wants them anymore. No, it's because there's more built, period. If Polaris, not to poke fun at Polaris tractors, for example, but there's very few Polaris tractors, and if that theory is true, that a lesser amount of machines that are for sale means that they're more popular, then why is there like hardly any Polaris tractors on Tractor House? There's more John Deere choppers made, period. End of that discussion. Now I'm gonna get some hate mail over that. I'm not doing anything different, but bashing another color. I have no experience with any other brand of chopper other than Pro. There's the field that we were plugged up in here last night. I did run a chrome chopper, chopping corn 7, 8, 9 years ago. It was like a 700, an X700 or something like that. I liked it. The only thing I didn't like about it was you could not see behind you. You couldn't see at all. The engine compartment came up so high because there was so much stacked in that engine compartment for emissions that you couldn't run a truck behind you opening up a field. You would have to be utilizing cameras, and that's all anybody uses now anyways, is cameras on the spout. Nobody looks in their mirrors or anything else anymore anyway, so I can't give any kind of an opinion on any other brand of chopper other than Krone, and I liked that machine when I ran it. Now, there are several of us that run John Deere choppers. There's several of us that run Klaus choppers. There's some real idiots that run Klaus choppers that don't know what they're doing. They run them into the ground, and there's some idiots that run John Deere choppers and they run them into the ground. The machines that work the best are not because the equipment is so good. It's mainly because the operator is good. If you know how to treat a piece of machinery, you'll be able to get the most out of it, whether it has to do with service or adjusting or operating. If somebody bashes a piece of machinery, that's because they're not smart enough to run the piece of machinery that they're running. And sometimes, to be quite honest with you, if they're going to bash one color or the other, maybe they're really not smart enough to be running that piece of equipment anyways, and it just happened to be by luck that they were able to jump in that piece of machinery and run off of the previous operator's settings to make that machine perform the way it was supposed to perform. Now, I have had several phone calls that have come in while I was doing this cab discussion here with the chopper, and I need to get to the phone call, so we're going to leave it at that. I do apologize again for the clickbait in the last couple of videos, but there's no other real thing that I can do in these chopping videos other than run my mouth. So we're going to go ahead and sign off here. I want to thank everybody for listening in, and you know, once I get a little more recognition with YouTube, I'll get that finger snapping function here, and we can kind of add to some of the video quality here. So I'm waiting for trucks now. We actually have Empire Tractor here right now looking at the 334 merger. I hope everything's saved as far as all the different short little video files go of putting that bearing together. I left the shop in a hurry this morning. Usually I shove a fresh battery in the camera, and then I either have I got a battery in this bag here, but it's dead, and I can run a charge cable in the back of it, but it takes forever to charge the battery. So, well, take it easy, folks. We will catch you at the next one.